Hello, everyone. Welcome to another session of Wellness Wednesday. Thank you, everyone, for joining me live and watching this session. So, we are in the month of April, where we are going to discuss all about irritable bowel syndrome. And irritable bowel syndrome is one of the most common conditions that I address in my clinical practice. Often, people are having vague symptoms. They're not sure. They have lots of bloating, gas, constipation, sometimes diarrhea, accompanied by urgency. And they have been through various testings with the doctors, and the tests are inconclusive. So that's when the doctors will say that, oh, you probably have an irritable bowel syndrome, right? So we are going to discuss all about that, and we're going to talk a little bit about my thought process when it comes to irritable bowel syndrome. So that's the topic for today. I'm also going to talk about 5 strategies that will help you mitigate or even balance your irritable bowel syndrome. So that's what we're going to discuss today. So let's get started. I'm just going to make sure I have my notes in front of me for pointers. So the number one point is, what exactly is IBS? What exactly is irritable bowel syndrome? So irritable bowel syndrome is nothing. It's a group of symptoms that occur together. So there is going to be any pain in the abdomen, especially any cramping like pain, and that is accompanied by changes in the bowel movement. So either the person can be constipated or have severe diarrhea or a combination of both, right? And as I mentioned before, it is a functional disorder, it is not a structural condition. So you are not going to see a lot of changes if you do any kind of testing. So the colonoscopy will not show any polyps or any redness or colitis. Those are different conditions. But in IBS, you're not going to see any significant changes, right? So it is a functional disorder. And one thing to understand is, in Ayurveda, we say that um, there is going to be no smoke without fire, right? So there is always supposed to be a root cause. So I'm not a big fan of all the conditions where nobody is able to identify that, oh, there is no root cause, it suddenly happens, right? There is no specific cause. It's just a functional disorder. So of course there is a root cause, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about, right? But whether you are struggling with IBS C, which is related to constipation, or IBS D, which is related to diarrhea, or you have both kind of symptoms, or just cramping is the kind of symptom, you need to make sure that you listen to today's talk, take the necessary steps, and make sure you have your gut balanced. Now, diet and lifestyle are two important factors when it comes to your gut health and your overall health as well. So in Ayurveda, whenever we talk about the 3 pillars of health, right, we are always going to talk about food, which has to do with our diet. And we also talk about, nidra, which is your sleep. And the third word is coined as brahmacharya. For some, that will mean, managing your energy output. That can mean as, managing your, like, living in accordance with Brahma, get up when it's time to wake up, go to sleep when it's time to sleep, so staying in harmony with your circadian rhythm, that is the other thing that it can be understood as. So definitely, if you deviate from any of these, if you have a poor diet, if you don't have adequate sleep, or if your circadian rhythm is off, you're waking up throughout the night, you're struggling with insomnia, it will show up as any imbalances in your gut, right? So those are the things to remember. And there is this gut brain axis as well. So anytime you're struggling with conditions like IBS, it can also cause a lot of anxiety or depression, and also vice versa, right? So the gut brain axis is when the gut is unhealthy, the brain is going to not have enough neurotransmitters, and you're going to feel awful. At the same time, if you have any mental health related issue, you are going to not have a healthy gut, because it is going to take away from your rest digest system, right? It's if you operate in that sympathetic mode where you're stuck in that fight flight, you're not going to have a healthy gut, you're not going to have a healthy digestion, right? So it's like a two-way street that we are talking about. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to say a quick hi to Farid Kamles is here. Neha is here as well. So if you have any questions, we are talking about IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. So feel free to post any of the questions that you have. Um, yeah. So now I have 5 simple strategies that you can use to help battle this irritable bowel syndrome, right? So these are 5 simple things. The number one is always identify the triggers, right? So the trigger is a food that is causing a reaction. Trigger could also be any emotions that are causing reactions, right? Food sensitivities are extremely common when it comes to irritable bowel syndrome. So whether it's dairy, right, any of the milk proteins, which I see often in my practice as causing issues, especially casein, whether it's lactose, whether it's gluten or it's wheat, whether it's corn, is it soy, is it any kind of yeast? Sometimes eggs would irritate the gut as well. So you have to find your trigger. What is bothering your gut and resulting in a lot of cramping, constipation, or diarrhea? So you have to find your gut, right? So, Nick and Linda, is a question of histamine sensitivities to ask here. For sure, right? So, histamine intolerance is a slightly different group, right? But you can see a lot of digestive issues with it. And there are certain foods like avocados or bananas or, fermented foods that are given especially for gut healing, and they will trigger your gut as well, right? So, whatever your trigger is, you have to identify that and you have to eliminate it. So, that is the number one thing you have to do if you're battling irritable bowel syndrome or any other condition related to gut health, right? Number one thing. The second thing is to clean up your diet, right? What do I mean by cleaning up the diet is avoid eating processed foods. Everything that you will see in the market grocery section where you're getting the actual fruits and vegetables is what you should be buying, but everything that's packaged, right? So an example I can give you is, if you're eating salads because you think they're healthy, just look at the salad dressings if you're getting any of those packages, right? Again, from an Ayurvedic perspective, those salads might be harming your gut if you don't have a stronger digestion, but there are so many preservatives laden, in your salad dressings, any other foods, that are celebrated today as, healthy gut smoothie and everything. They have preservatives added as well to be able to keep them stable on the shelf for a certain number of days, right? So clean up your diet. Try to eat as close as it is to nature, because whatever these additives are, whatever these preservatives are, they are the ones that are creating damage in your gut, right? So try to cut out, all processed foods. You can eat whole grains. If you are gluten intolerant, go for rice, go for quinoa. Millets are good. You could go for amaranth, you could go for oats, right? Rather than having a packaged cereal. If you don't want any grains, you could try the note meal, which doesn't have any oatmeal. It's just a lot of seeds and a few nuts. And that could be another option, right? But seeds, nuts, again, they're closer to nature as long as you're not having those flavored versions, right? Or candied ones. So, definitely, those are the two things, test for triggers. Second is to clean up your diet. Third is always to add something that aids your digestion, supports your digestion, especially in the form of herbs and spices in your regular cooking, right? So whether you cook with, an Eastern, Southeast Asian style, or like an Asian style cooking, or if you do more European style, Canadian style, I don't care. You can try any herbs and spices that you enjoy. You can try something like basil, thyme, oregano, or you could go for certain digestives like ginger. You could go for turmeric. You can go for, cumin, coriander. So, different herbs and spices have different benefits, and all herbs and spices are going to work on your digestive system, right? The whole job of spices is to really support your digestion and to stoke your digestive fire. In Ayurveda, we talk about this as Agni, right? You have to do this Agni Vardhan Chikitsa, where you're increasing the capacity of your digestion to be able to break the foods down. Only when you break the foods down are you going to be able to absorb all the nutrients from it, right? Ginger really helps boost digestion. Ginger also helps stimulate your digestive enzymes. Turmeric can lower the inflammation from your overall body, also your gut, and it will also push your body to secrete the natural digestive enzymes. If you are having a lot of pain, a lot of discomfort, certain spices like coriander seeds, certain spices like fennel can actually soothe an irritated gut, right? So, parsley is also fantastic for soothing an irritated gut. Cilantro is also fantastic for soothing an irritated gut, right? So, make sure you add certain spices and herbs to your regular diet. That is going to help you digest your food. Now, the fourth one is to fix your gut microbiome. See, gut microbiome is something, where a lot of research is going on today, but it is not something that people know about it today. 5,000 years ago, or even before that, whenever we look at the Ayurvedic text, right, they always talk about drinking buttermilk post digestion, right, or post meals. So after you have your meals, you can have something that is sour, fermented, that is going to actually strengthen your gut microbiome, or the trillions of bacteria that are located in your gut. And these gut bacteria have a beneficial effect on not just your entire digestive tract, but also your moods and also your hormones, right? So making sure you have some probiotic or fermented foods. Now, again, in my opinion, whenever you start adding fermented foods, always have it post meals, right? So, too much of fermented foods adding before, anything that's sour, it can damage, it can make you secrete more acid. And sometimes, if you have a lot of inflammation in your gut, it will create more challenges for the stomach lining, by pushing more acid. So if you have fermented foods after you have eaten your meals, right, so that is how it's going to work the best for you. So fix your gut microbiome. Buttermilk is good. If you are somebody who's dairy intolerant or a vegan, you can go for sauerkraut, you can go for kimchi. If you like kimchi, different probiotic drinks can be made, like beet kvass. There are so many different ones. You can have those. And the fifth one is lifestyle changes. Everything that you do, all actions, not just physical but also mental, are going to affect your gut, right? So you have to make sure that you're always checking in with your mood. How are you doing, managing your stress levels, and also making sure you sleep at the right time. And that is going to support the long term healing of your gut, right? So lifestyle is as important to healing as is the diet. It's not just one thing. Everything has to come together to be able to heal the body. So focusing on the lifestyle changes is also extremely important. Now, the last part that I'm going to talk about is that I have this signature program called Digestive Rebalance Program, right? So this is something that I offer in my clinic. It is a bit challenging to do it in online. We can do nutritional consultations or Ayurvedic consultations online, but the program specifically, I have to do it in person because I do testing for certain food sensitivities or intolerances and allergies in person, using the muscle test to figure out what your triggers are, right? So it is something that has 4 sessions. It's comprised of 4 sessions. Number one session, we will look at your diet, your lifestyle, your nutritional status. How Ayurvedically are you eating? Are you eating in accordance with your body's requirements, your mental requirements, your work requirements as well, right? It's not just as simple as, eating for the dosha. There are so many permutations, combinations that an Ayurvedic doctor looks into. We have to check if you have any ama, digestive toxins. Are you digesting the foods? Are you breaking down the foods? Are you absorbing the foods? Right, so we have to check for all these. So number one is going to be a nutritional session. It will be followed by testing for the foods that are triggering your system. After that, I will create a personalized meal plan for you. Again, this is completely customized to your requirements, your needs, your current health status, your digestive status, and the goals that we have. And then you get two follow up sessions after that. So, this is something that I do offer in my practice. So, if you are interested in the Digestive Rebalance Program, feel free to message me and we can set up a free 15-minute consultation and discuss more. Now, if you find somebody who is struggling with his or her or their digestion, please make sure you share this video with them. And you can share this video privately with them. You can save it for future reference, so that they will benefit as well and they can take charge of their gut. And IBS, as most doctors say, there is no cure. But in my practice, I've seen amazing results with IBS just by making certain simple dietary and lifestyle changes, So I've seen where people were afraid to get out of the house with the fear that, they would have diarrhea or they would have to run and there would be no accessible washroom. Now the same person can travel without thinking about their gut issues, right? So by changing the diet, you can start healing your gut. You can take charge of your health. You can take charge of your life. So feel free to reach out if you have any questions or if you need any more information. I'm trying to keep these Wellness Wednesdays a little bit shorter, under 20 minutes. So thank you for all that, have been joining me live. So that's for today's session. For next session next week, I will be talking about 10 foods that destroy your gut health. And you will be surprised about how many of these you are eating on a regular basis, right? So, next week, we're going to talk about 10 foods that are destroying your gut health. So, stay tuned for that one as well and have a fantastic day. Um, Bye for now.